Yeah. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. I am Toastmaster Bharadwaj. So let me tell you the mission and vision of the Toastmasters Club. The mission of the Toastmasters Club is to provide the mutual, supportive, and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop their oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth, and empowers the people to achieve their full potential and realize their dreams. These are the three ground rules which everyone should follow. Turn off all your noise making devices onto the silent mode. Do not talk on the topics related to sex, religion, and politics in a demeaning way. With this, I would like to hand over the stage to Toastmaster Mamata. Over to you.
Lochan, go ahead. He was supposed to say.
Hi. So see with me, but yeah, I'll be taking. Thanks, Bharadwaj. I'll be taking over as the host and PO for today's session. So I welcome you all again to today's Toastmasters meeting, the 8th of the Coastline Toastmasters Club. I see quite a few new faces here. So Balu, Kamesh, for joining as guests. I request you just unmute yourself and introduce yourself, give a brief introduction on who you are and how you came to know about our club. Audible?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, good evening, one and all. This is Balu Kamesh. I joined today as a guest in the Toastmasters. I got invitation one of the group. From there, I joined actually Toastmasters. And recently, I visited 2-3 Toastmasters practical sections there, and for that, the reason where I want to be in future as a Toastmaster. The reason is I need to improve my communication as well as leadership skills. So I joined here.
Great. Nice knowing you, Mr. Balu. Just stay on for today's session and probably our DP membership will get in touch with you. I see Toastmasters Chandra already.
Hey,
we have
hi.
a new member today. So, can you just give a brief introduction of yourself?
Toastmaster. Toastmasters Club. So, an existing Toastmaster. I visited your club meeting. So, yeah, I've been attended like a couple of your meetings like earlier as well. Yeah, thank you.
He has given me one of his speech.
Now I remember. Okay, great. So with that, that's said and done for the guests. So we will proceed for today's session.
We have sorry to interrupt. We have one more guest, Sheila Sailaja.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Sheila Sailaja. Yeah, I heard you. Are you a member or have you been seated? I'm sorry, I've not been following, but if you could give a brief introduction of yourself and how come you found our club?
I have a work experience. My name is Sheila Shailaja. I have a work experience in Concentrix, and I want to improve my communication skills and leadership skills. So I was like my mentors and the research which I did in social media. Like everyone suggested, Toastmasters is a platform where I can improve my communication and leaderships. So I searched in Google and I came to know about this Toastmasters. Thank you.
Great, nice. Yeah, stick together and you get to find more about leadership, communication skills, and networking. That's all we do in Toastmasters Club. With that said and done, ladies and gentlemen, we proceed for today's session. Today's sticking to this term's workflow of conducting a regular session and a special session on consecutive Saturdays. Today is going to be a very interesting educational session by one of our seasoned Toastmasters, Toastmaster Mamta. Well, I'm not going to take the spotlight, and I'm going to hand over the stage, virtual stage, to Toastmaster Mamta, where she can let us know on whatever she's been cooking. Over to you, Toastmaster Mamta.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lochan. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Costa and Toastmasters Meet. I request all of you to be on mute unless asked to unmute. Thanks for joining us this evening. As Toastmaster Lochan mentioned, we were planning to have educational sessions frequently to educate most of you on what's in store for you as part of Toastmasters and how do you get started with this journey and how it is going to benefit all of you. So today is one such attempt to help you understand the basics of what you're going to learn as part of Toastmasters and how can you benefit from the entire program. Now, before you start, a quick audio and video check. I hope I am clearly audible and visible.
Yes, Mamta, you are audible and visible too.
Thanks, Bharatwaj, for confirming. All right, I hope all of us like stories. Can I see a raise of hands if you all like stories? I'll try and make it as interactive as possible. And if you have any questions, do post them on chat. You can raise your hands, virtual hands, and I can give you a chance to ask me questions. And of course, we'll have some time towards the end as well. So there was once a farmer who always used to get rewarded for producing the best wheat. So every year he was considered to be the farmer for the best produce of wheat. So obviously, since he was winning all the time, a reporter like these days, while Suman TV takes the light, but there are other reporters as well who cover logical news. So reporters approached to ask him, "Hey farmer, what's special about the wheat you produce? Every year you manage to produce the best wheat in the market. So how do you manage to do that?" So then our farmer says that, well, my strategy is very simple. Before the start of the yield, I give one of my best seed to all of my neighboring farmers. A little perplexed, the reporter asks, but they all compete with you in the competition, so why would you want to share the best seed to all the other neighboring farmers? And the neighbor says that, well, it is very simple. When there is wind that blows, it brings in the wheat from the neighboring farms. And when there is cross yielding that happens, my wheat should not go bad. Hence, I give the best seed so that the wind brings in the best shaft, which will help my wheat to grow better. And of course, that's how I manage to win this award every year. Well, this is a brilliant strategy, isn't it? While we might at the forefront think about when there are competitors, why do I want to give the best? But if you look at it, only when you try to become the best in yourself, you will be able to produce the best out of the entire journey as well. Toastmasters is a similar journey for you. We all have been successful in the little form and shape that we are at the moment. Some of us could be good communicators. Some of us already might be good developers, good at your work, good at your studies as well. But when it comes to learning new skills, there is always scope that you will notice. And Toastmasters is not just limited to communication and public speaking skills. I'm going to talk to you about what's in store for you in this journey. And of course, I hope I excite you to start your journey as soon as possible. I'm going to quickly share my, do let me know if you're able to see it. Cool, thank you so much for that. So it says, choose your cocktail wisely. I hope you know the cocktail, but when you don't make the right choice, you will always end up compromising on what you drink or what your choices are. But with Toastmasters, one of the advantages that you have is you get to make that choice yourself. And how do you make that choice? So today we're going to look at what is the Pathways program all about? How do we get started through this program? What does it help us in? What's Basecamp? What are the Pathways resources available? And who can help me in the entire journey of this Pathways program? Now, let me ask you a quick question. The moment you hear the word pathway, what comes into your mind? You can unmute and answer. The moment
Trail
Mega.
leading to some place. Trail
sorry,
leading to some place.
okay, a trail. That's nice. That's a nice word, a trail.
A journey.
A journey. Fantastic.
A walkway.
in a garden.
Okay.
A
Sorry,
walkway.
I didn't hear the last one, Bharatwaj. What did you say?
Walkway.
Walkway. Okay,
Yeah.
walkway, trail, journey, a walkway. Okay.
New
Short-term goals.
opportunities.
Short-term girl. Okay, short-term girl.
New opportunities.
New opportunities. That's a very nice one. Okay, great. I think it sums it up all. The moment we hear pathway, at no point we can think of something that is obstructive. At no point can we think of something that stops. At no point we understand that there is an end to it. It is a way, it continues. It's a continuous journey. So is Toastmasters' journey. So let's understand and dive in and pay attention, because you're going to have some knowledge check questions coming your way as well. So there are certain core competencies that we learn as part of Toastmasters. Now, all of you know, the moment you hear about Toastmasters, the first thing that comes into your mind is, what comes into your mind?
Communication skills, leadership skills.
Communication skills, leadership skills, what else?
Overcome
Being a
your
leader
fears.
and to keep
Lately
the
I've been-
progress with them.
Okay, okay, all right.
Lately, responsibilities.
Responsibilities, interesting.
Group
Very
activities.
nice. Group activities, okay.
Overcoming fears.
Overcoming fear. That's interesting. Well, of course, I'll not help you walk in the light now, because obviously, if you're still scared with darkness, scared of darkness, you will still be scared of darkness. But definitely, confidence, overcoming fear in terms of facing people and interacting, of course, yes. So, what are core competencies? The core competencies are something that you will develop as a skill set because of some learning. Generally, when you do some domain training, you'll develop a competence of the domain expertise. Similarly, when it comes to softer skills, core competencies play a wider and a major role, because there is no right way of assessing good, bad communication skills. I know often we see the word bad communication skills, but I feel it is very ironic. If you're communicating, it can't be bad. So it is still communication skills. Maybe the way you're communicating could be, but communication skills in itself cannot be bad. But Toastmasters, like some of our friends rightly identified over here, it's not just limited to communication. Let's see what we will be learning as part of Toastmasters journey. The first thing is public speaking, of course, where the way we face people and talk to them, the way we can interact in a space where it is not just limited to myself, but with people that I could be known or could not be known. Interpersonal communication, very important, as all of us are either heading to our professional lives, are already professionals, or people at a juncture where you are a leader but you're failing to communicate with others because you lack interpersonal skills, where you cannot connect with people. Strategic leadership, while you might be wondering how speaking in front of people will help me develop my leadership skills. We'll talk about that in detail at a later point in time. Leading and managing. Lochan used the word responsibilities. When you play the club roles, you are responsible for how the club meetings run, how the club will become successful. Therefore, it is a responsibility. It's very easy at a workplace to lead and manage, because there are set rules, there are set ground policies that everybody has to follow, and it is very easy for us to make people adhere to them. But in an environment like this, where it is voluntary, people come in and join to learn or pursue something, and getting them to do or complete certain activities can be challenging, because not everybody might succumb to the thought of adhering to certain ways of work. The final thing, which is an overarching competency, is building confidence. Building confidence in facing people, building confidence in being able to talk to people, talk on any topic at any given point in time, and overall create a personal branding for yourself. Now, this is all achieved through something called pathways. First, let's see what are the benefits, and then we'll talk about what pathways are. What are pathways? Tailored self-paced learning. It is a customized program for each member which matches their needs. It's a flexibility of choice that each member has in order to learn what they want to achieve at a greater strength. Greater access to materials. You don't have to sit and search on Google as to what is that you would want to learn, because there are loads of resources available. Real world application. You know, earlier on there used to be a program called ACG before Pathways program. This was way back. I was with Toastmasters about 7 years ago, and then I took a break for a few years and I came back. During that point in time, it was very manual, much more robust and much more stricter than Pathways. But what I love about Pathways, it is so curated. It's curated in a manner that it can be easily applicable to the current generation and to the current needs of work life, and for transitioning from being a student to a working professional as well. So the way the activities are designed, the way the pathways are designed are very, very advanced, and you can really bring it back to everyday life and start applying them. And more importantly is because you also receive evaluations at the end of every speech, which will help you assess where you stand. So that is the Pathways program, which can be accessed from something called Basecamp on your portal. All right, ready for the first knowledge check from what we heard till now? So I'm going to bring up the first question. You just have to respond to the poll and answer the question. There are 2 questions. Let's see how many of you get it all right. 8 more people to respond. It is okay if you still don't know the answer, but do take an attempt. We will be able to clarify. All right. Great. So I have 10 people responding on all the 2 questions. The first question is, Pathways is accessible for, if you have answered it as enrolled members, you are correct. Good job, everyone. But if you have marked it as everyone, Pathways can be viewed by everyone but cannot be accessed by everyone. It is only after you sign up on the Toastmasters portal you will be able to access all the related resource and also progress through your pathway. Where can I access Pathways on TI portal? On the Toastmasters International portal, there is something called a Basecamp that will help you access your pathways. However, Club Central is also available on the portal. The job of a Club Central is to give you the information of who is part of your club, what roles each of the club members are playing, and if you need any support, which club member you should approach. So let's dive in and see what we have in store for us today. Now that we've completed the knowledge check, there are 11 specialized learning paths as part of Toastmasters Pathways. As you can see, the names are given over here already for all the 11. If you can notice the names there, I'm not going to read them out because I'm going to talk about each of them. Every learning path will have 14 projects. When you sign up for Toastmasters, one of the learning paths is given as a default. Beyond that, whatever pathways you would want to access, you will have to pay for it and enroll for it. Okay. Now, the first one, you can enjoy the cartoons as well. The cartoon depicts what you shouldn't be, and the text depicts what we will be learning as part of Toastmasters. So the first learning path that you will notice is dynamic leadership, which helps you build your space as a leader and a conflict resolver, which is very, very critical, especially if you're a new manager or somebody heading into a manager role. You'll focus on facilitating change along with public speaking skills. Yeah, and of course, leadership experience here does not mean WhatsApp admin groups and people following on Twitter and Insta, but definitely the larger goal is to make you a dynamic leader, irrespective of where you are. You know, some of you might have attended Toastmasters meetings, some of you are a Toastmasters and have been taking on responsibilities. You might have noticed that at times you start feeling dejected and demotivated because your expectation could be entirely different when you took up a leadership role, but when in reality it is really not working out the way it should be working out. But that is where your role steps in. How can you ensure that despite having all the abilities, all the resources available, why are people still not interested in doing it or taking it forward? So leadership is one of the major skills that will that will be developed as part of Toastmasters. I've been associated with Toastmasters for quite some time. And one of the things that I've seen is with every club journey that you have, you end up learning so much. The way you manage people, it transcends into the way you manage your teams back in office. So it's a beautiful learning journey by itself. So dynamic leadership is one of the pathways where you will learn about how to become a more strategic leader. The next pathway is effective coaching. As you know that coaching is very, very critical. You might have heard this word way too long. Then normally we associate the word coaching with, what do we associate coach with?
Teacher.
Teacher, okay.
Mentor.
Mentor, okay. Coaches and mentors are slightly different, but yeah, of course, overarching roles. The moment I think of the word coach, all I think of is my gym coach, who I hate the most. But yeah, effective coaching is about how they ensure that the end result is met, okay, and the way they communicate with you makes you wonder that whether you are able to do it or not. So this pathway, effective coaching, does the same thing. It helps you build your skill as a positive communicator, leader, and a coach. If you are aspiring to become somebody who is at a level where you want to coach others, where you want to become a trainer at work, or where you want to ensure that you share your knowledge amongst people, or you're already in a role where you have to build on a lot of interpersonal skills by the virtue of your work, then this pathway is a very, very effective pathway. Please understand that public speaking skills is common across all pathways. In addition to that, this is what you're going to learn additionally along with public speaking skills. And as you can see, he's a good listener, but only to the sound of his own voice. And that's exactly what we don't want coaches to be. This is an interesting pathway that was included, which is called engaging humor, which helps you build your skills as a humorous and engaging public speaker. If you're aspiring to be a stand-up comedian, or if you want to write material that invokes humor, or if you want to promote your social presence as a humorous person, this is one particular pathway that's going to help you a lot, and you don't have to laugh at your own jokes, because this entire pathway is designed in a manner that it will help you understand what are the different skill sets that you can apply in order to engage your audience through your public speaking. And this is a very effective, this has helped people who have enrolled for humorous speech contests as well. Many of them are part of this particular pathway, and even without that as well, they were able to. Innovative planning is the next pathway. Innovative planning helps you build your skills as a public speaker, leader, and a project manager. You know that without planning, nothing happens. And sometimes, in an agile environment, it is very important that your planning changes is very volatile. It changes like almost every day. So here you're going to talk about strategies for creating innovative solutions. You might be wondering, this is a public speaking forum. How can I learn all of this? So every pathway will have projects that are designed for you to apply these skills. Then you have resources that are going to help you learn these skills and then apply them in the projects. The next one is leadership development. The difference between dynamic leadership and leadership development. Dynamic leadership is for somebody who is already at a leadership layer and is looking to hone some of the skill set, whereas leadership development is for people who want to pursue that role, or who are anticipating to get into that role soon, or want to explore what their leadership style is, so that eventually they can spend more time to hone that particular skill. It helps you become a little more effective communicator and a leader, and it will also help on developing and implementing a plan on how you can lead an effective team. The next one is motivational strategies. This helps you build your skills as a powerful and effective communicator. You will focus on building connections. There is one word that is, the moment you hear the word building connections, there's one buzzword that's happening right now. What is that word? What is that word that comes into your mind the moment we hear the word building connections? Everyone's talking about it.
Networking.
Fantastic. Good
Communication.
job. Yes, networking. Networking is the word. It's a buzzword right now in the corporate industry and anywhere where you create a space for yourself only by networking with people that you can align with, people that have the same mindset, people who don't have the same mindset as well. It is all about making connections. So this is one particular pathway that can help you build your network. How do you get started? How do you enhance your personal connections and professional connections? And how do you start conversing in small groups? How do you introduce to new folks, and how do you get started with conversation? I like this particular cartoon over here. Not our worst employee. Just the same, it's nice to get an award. Persuasive influence. This is very, very critical, especially if you're in a juncture in your career where you have to do a lot of stakeholder communication, or you have to interact with a lot of clients. If you're in customer service or client service roles, this is a very important skill or competence that you need to develop. Persuasiveness, and the pathway is persuasive influence, which helps you build as an innovative communicator and leader. And how do you handle communication in complex situations? So it will talk about language that can be used. It can talk about how your projects are also designed in a manner where you can get to develop your persuasiveness. Between apples and oranges, when they are even, how do you persuade? Presentation mastery. A lot of jitters happen when it comes to presentation skills, right? The moment we hear about presentation, I'm sure you might have seen people who are excellent presenters. At the same time, you might have seen people who have failed miserably on the stage. I remember when I was 16, I got into a training assignment as a grammar trainer, English grammar trainer. It was my first batch I was training for HSBC through a small training firm. My first batch was a group of retired army personnel. Army personnel retire very early, so they're not old people, but they are out of army. So there was this very diligent young man sitting right in front, and I was no old. I was still in my teens, and I was teaching grammar. I was teaching subject verb agreement. The moment I saw, suddenly when I moved past, our eyes met, and I lost what I was teaching over there. So presentation can become very, very tricky because you don't know how your audience can communicate to you. Their eye gaze or the way their body language is can be very, very distracting for a presenter. Presentation mastery will help you connect with your audience in a manner where you can build the channel of, how you plan. The way you plan at home will be flawless, but the moment you start facing people, you end up stuttering and stammering. But I think that is exactly what presentation mastery, you'll become a master of presentations through this particular pathway. Then comes strategic relationships, which helps you, very important, again, backed up with networking. It is very important that once you build the connection, how you maintain that relationship as well is very important, and how you communicate both in your personal and professional communication. So yes, if you're looking to date somebody, this is one pathway that's going to help you as well, because it will give you that confidence of the way you present in front of yourself. As much so, like in the cartoon, she says that I'd like to start communicating first, but get your foot off the table. Even if it's a negative message, you'll still be able to present it positively to the person. Sometimes you might have seen how people present certain thoughts. They could be very, very heart-wrenching, but the way they put it forward can be very subtle, that the opposite person doesn't even realize that they're being mocked at or they're being criticized. So that is exactly what is very important for us all to learn. Then comes team collaboration, an absolutely pertinent skill that all of us have to know, especially in work cultures. And of course, even if you're in college, that is something that you'll have to learn, because you will be doing group activities even in college. Team collaboration helps you build skills. In this particular pathway, it talks about how you can use your communication to make everybody work together. It's a very important interpersonal skill and takes you a long way, because this is very important for you as you progress in your career as well. How do you make the rest of the three work is more critical. The 99% wala will anyways work. Then comes visionary communication. Pretty much as the word indicates, visionary is somebody who can look beyond. So how do you strategize for future? How do you ensure that things fall in place to address a certain challenge, and how do you fix it as well? So visionary communication is just that. If you are at a at a mid management level, or if you are aspiring to be somebody who is very ambitious and wants to go up the ladder quickly, visionary communication is one pathway that is going to give you a lot of information about how you can communicate, how you can strategize and plan your communication in order to present yourself as a visionary leader. So these are the 11 paths that we have seen. We have, I'll just quickly scroll up again: visionary communication, team collaboration, strategic relationship, presentation mastery, persuasive influence, motivational strategies, leadership and development, innovative planning, engaging humor, effective coaching, and dynamic leadership. Now, I've mentioned about 5 competencies earlier, and there are 11 pathways. How am I going to benefit with all of these? So these are the pathways that you have seen, and we have spoken about 5. The reason why 5th one is grayed out, because confidence is something that you will develop overall. Irrespective of the pathway you choose, it's bound to happen that you will become a confident speaker, because at the end of the day, while you're giving speeches, you are facing audience, you're going to be evaluated. So confidence is an overarching competence that will develop overall. But if you look at it, dynamic leadership, for example, we have highlighted it in different color for you to understand. It helps you improve your public speaking skills, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership. Okay. Similarly, if you want to look at management, you look at effective coaching, innovative planning, leadership development, and team collaboration. When you look at strategic strategic leadership, you look at dynamic leadership, motivational strategies, strategic relationships, and visionary communication. Public speaking, as you can notice, is there throughout all pathways, because how you're going to assess whether you are improving in the pathway is through the speeches that you give. Now that we've learned about what are the different pathways and what are the core competencies, let's understand what are the different levels in the pathways. By now, we all know that how many pathways do we have? You can chat, you can unmute and share.
11.
11, perfect.
11.
And how many competencies do we have?
5.
5 competencies.
Five
Can anybody tell me what competencies can you learn through these pathways? What are the competencies that we can learn?
Public speaking. There is confidence.
Interpersonal communication.
Strategic leadership.
Management,
Confidence.
Management.
confidence.
confidence.
Confidence is overarching on all. Very good. Fantastic. Good job. So you are listening. Now let's understand what are the levels in each pathway. I've spoken about 11 pathways. Each of these pathways will have different levels in them. It's not that you do one speech and it is over. It's like a project. Each pathway is like a project. So there are different levels in this. Level 1 is mastering the fundamentals. Level 2 gets a little more advanced. Level 3 more than advanced. Level 4 highly skilled, and level 5 makes you adept in the particular pathway. Again, each level is divided into multiple projects that you'll have to complete. First one is mastering fundamentals. Each of the pathways will have different ways of each of these levels that they are designed. For example, a visionary communication might not have to do a presentation as much as a presentation mastery pathway should do. So depending on your pathway as well, your projects will differ. However, they will be classified under the same levels. Level 1 is mastering fundamentals. Mastering fundamentals, pretty much as you can see, it is fundamentals. It is common for all the pathways. So what does this level involve? It has an icebreaker speech. It has an evaluation and feedback. Then it also has researching and presentation. Understand that at every project you will have to do a speech. Some levels might not require a speech alone. Some might require you to do an elaborate speech. Some might require you to do something beyond. For example, in visionary communication, one of the electives asks you to do a podcast. Or in engaging humor, you'll have to write a script. So it varies from one pathway to another pathway, but level 1 will be the same for all pathways. All of us have to do an icebreaker speech, an evaluation and feedback speech, where you take in the evaluation from the the person who is evaluating you, and again you present the same speech to see whether your evaluation has improved or not. Researching and presenting, there's a topic that you have to research about and you have to present it back. Level 2 is about learning your style. Again, it is dependent on the path you have selected, not necessary that all pathways will have this. So it will have introduction to mentoring, and you'll have to complete 3 projects based on the path you've selected. So basically what happens in this path is you'll understand your leadership style, your communication style, how you're able to connect with your audience, how you can manage time. Time is a very, very critical aspect in Toastmasters, which is why everything is timed during the entire course of the meeting. Are you a good listener? How can you present your body effectively? And very important, Toastmasters is not limited to your own region. It's across cultures. Once you become a member of Toastmasters, you can join any club across the globe. So it's also very important that you understand how you connect cross-culturally. So that is learning your style, level 2. Level 3 is about how you can increase your knowledge. Pretty much as the level suggests, it is not mandatory, but it has multiple electives in it. So there are 14 projects that you complete that I've mentioned about, right? 10 are mandatory, 14 are elective, 4 are electives. You can choose to do 2. You can also choose to do 4. Elective means it's a choice you get over there. Complete at least 2 electives plus one of the projects below for the path to be completed. Negotiate the best outcome. Now, the way negotiate the best outcome could be common across all pathways, but the way you have to complete could be different across the pathways. Make connections through networking, successful collaboration, developing a communication plan, or some of the things that you get to do over here. Let's move on. Level 4 is building skills. Again, there is electives over here. You have to complete at least one elective plus one of the projects that is mentioned over here. Again, it differs from the path you have selected. Some of the skills are managing projects successfully, leading your team, motivating others, leading in difficult situations. These are all summed up from the different pathways. Okay, so it's not that all of them will be in one pathway. They're taken from all pathways. Level 4, these are the projects that you have. You might have noticed that in all the levels, you will see a lot of focus on leading, driving, changing, and managing, and communication across. The level 5 is demonstrating expertise. Like I've mentioned, you transition from where you are to where you should be. Throughout the levels, you will get to assess yourself on where you are moving and what else you would want to do in each of the paths. Demonstrating expertise is where you get to reflect on the entire path, and you also get to complete one of the projects based on the pathway that you have selected. So it could be leading in any situation, high performance leadership, team building, prepare to speak professionally, leading in your volunteer organization, lead in any situation, develop your vision. So just to make it very simpler for you, you have 14 projects that you complete in one pathway, 10 speeches, 4 electives, out of which 2 you have to complete in order to complete the entire path. Now, what is completing the entire path? Let's say, for example, I take visionary communication. I will keep talking about it as VC1, which means I'm still in level 1. I can be in level 1, project 1, level 1, project 2, level 1, project 3, L1P1, L1P2, L1P3. I can be in level 5, project 1, level 5, project 2, project 3, and of course an elective to it as well. As I progress, I get to do a little more extra than somebody who is at a level 1. For example, if I want to participate in any contests of Toastmasters, like a humorous speech contest or a table topics contest, you don't have any specific cutoff there. But if you want to be an evaluation, you want to participate in evaluation contest, you have to be at least at a level 2. You have to complete level 2, which means you'll have to complete 6 projects in total. 2 levels equals to 6 projects. You want to become a mentor, you have to complete level 2. Only then you will be eligible to become a mentor. You want to become an evaluator, speech evaluator, you have to complete your level 1. So there are certain criteria like that you have to complete in order to take on additional roles, and you can progress through the journey. I hope the levels are clear for you. So
Yes,
each
ma'am.
pathway has 5 levels. 5 levels vary depending on the pathway. Now, where do I get to see their pathway? People who can access. And for people who are guests, this is what you're going to learn through the Toastmasters journey. The moment you get a login, you will log in and reset your password. After that, your VP education will guide you. This is the base camp. Base camp is a place where you know what you are going to learn. This is an online gateway to pathways. You will see here, you have tutorials and resources, and you have navigation to your base camp, education transcript, feedback, badges and speech evaluation. Now, how do I get into which pathway is a better pathway for me? I don't know. When I look at 11 pathways, I don't know which one to pick. Could be a common question that might come into your mind. Or you might feel that between dynamic leadership and strategic leadership, what do I choose? I don't know what to do. Just to answer this question, you have an online assessment in your base camp, which will help you determine which pathway will be better for you. It is a psychometric assessment. Once you complete that, it gives you 3 pathways to choose from in the order of skills that you should develop as a person. So depending on the sequence that it gives you, you can choose to start off with the first one, or you think that, oh my God, it suggested that I have to start with dynamic leadership, but it is too intense for me. The word itself is so intense for me. Don't worry. You can also choose it for yourself. You can pick any pathway of your choice as well, but do make a informed choice when you're picking a pathway, because it's an invested learning. There's nothing you're going to lose. At the same time, there is nothing that you're going to gain if you don't start off on your pathways after enrolling into Toastmasters. There's a reason why you're here and you're paying to get into the entire learning journey. If you want to be serious about your learning, you have to start with your pathways the moment you get your credentials. There is no right day, there is no auspicious day to start in Toastmasters. So you start, you get evaluated, then you know how to get started, what you're lacking, and how you can gain through it. And I will also tell you how you can get started with it. So this is the base camp. This is where you'll get all your access, and don't be afraid of taking the leap, because you have all the resources available. You have a nice checklist to develop your speech. You will have a mentor assigned who can help you through your speech, assess it for you even before you give your speech, and guide you through it. Then you also have multiple resources. There is some learning also that you will have to do in each of these in order to transition from one level to another. In addition to that, you'll also have additional resources that you can learn from if it interests you. They're beautifully curated courses, very succinct. They're very brief courses, but they give you a lot of information that you can take back to whatever you're doing, whether you're a student, whether you're a homemaker, whether you are a professional. You can take it back and apply at work. So sample a project icebreaker, and this is how it will appear. Level 1 project, you click on begin, then it will take you to the next page where it will talk about what is an icebreaker. Then you can see, right, it will give you an introduction, what is your assignment to complete, how you can assess your skills before you start the speech as well, what are the competencies that you should focus on during this. You also have what should be your goals. Then you prepare and present, where you get a checklist that can help you craft your speech. And after your speech, you can come back and assess what you have been able to present, review and apply and complete your assignment, and then your evaluation. Once you complete this level, what happens is you will be able to close this particular level. When an entire level gets closed, when each level gets closed, there's a pop-up that comes to VP Education indicating that so-and-so member, let's say for example, Bharadwaj submits it. It comes to Lochan, who is our VP Education of Coastline, that Bharadwaj has completed his level 1, please approve. Now now Lochan should validate whether Bharadwaj completed the level or not and approve it. You also have a facility of giving a speech in other clubs. Let's say, for example, we meet every Saturday, but Saturday was not conducive for you to give your speech. Not to worry, you can consult your VP Education, who can provide a slot for you in another meeting, in another club meeting as well. You can do it. Both the VPHs will coordinate and they will mark it as complete for you. So there is so much there's a big platform that's given for you, where you don't have to limit yourself to one space, one club, or one particular journey here. Of course, we always encourage you to deliver your speeches in the home club, because you get feedback from various sources, not just from your evaluator. Since we get to see you from day one and how you transition, it helps us to provide better feedback for the future meetings as well. And we restrict it as much as possible that you go to other clubs and deliver the speeches. There is something called DTM. Once you complete levels, you might be hearing this term. We call everybody as Toastmaster so-and-so, Toastmaster so-and-so, and then you'll see DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster. Now, this is like a very big title in Toastmaster. You might have already seen it in some of the posters. We are lucky to have 2 DTMs in our very own club, right? Harish and Jahnavi. So how does what is the pathway to DTM? You have to complete at least 2 learning paths. Along with that, You should also serve as a club officer for 12 months. What are club officers? We have different club officers who ensure that every club meeting runs successfully. That's VP Education, President, Secretary, so on and so forth. Then serve as a club mentor or a club coach. You have to serve as a club mentor or a club coach in one of the clubs. Serve as a club sponsor, conduct speechcraft or youth leadership program. Serve as a district officer for 1 year, not just at a club level. You should also serve at a district level. So in Toastmasters, the way we are is at a club level. The club fits into a larger district and area, and it moves into a division, right? So we are part of district 126 and we are part of area I. Like that, you have to serve as a district officer, and then you are eligible to complete your DTM project. Once you complete your project and VP Ed signs it off, you will be getting that title as DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster. Apart from that, as a member of a club, irrespective of whichever club you are and whichever club you're going to join, you have a responsibility to make your club successful. And how do you make your club successful? There are certain goals that you have to achieve as well. What are they? 4 level 1s, 2 level 2s, 2 more level 2s, 2 level 3s. You see, everything is assessed through the levels of pathways that each member is completing in the club. So it's very important that you start your pathways journey in case you haven't started yet. People who are yet to start their Toastmasters journey, this is a message that it is not just about attending a meeting and delivering a speech. It has a purpose. It has a goal. It's not just about you developing, you are ensuring that the larger club benefits as well. And do you see what you get to achieve through all of that? You are not just improving personally, but you're ensuring that you're able to lead and manage through every level because you're contributing to the greater club success. Time for knowledge check 2. Any questions before we move to the knowledge check? I see a few chat messages. Let me see. Okay. Any questions? Or are we ready for my questions then? Okay. Let me pull up the second knowledge check for you. I'll give you 3 minutes to answer this. Okay, take 4 minutes. I hope the poll is visible. Okay. I see the responses now coming in. It's okay even if you did not get the answer. Please go ahead and mark it. Take a stab at it.
Mamta, I have a quick question.
Please ask.
So currently, like, what does it mean to be a club sponsor, or so you just touched upon, right? Like while completing the DTM, we have this prereqs like where we also need to be serving as a club sponsor, as well as like if I recollect correctly, we need to conduct a speech craft program and a youth leadership program. Right? So can you please elaborate a bit more on it? Like say that order.
Sure. You can actually look it up in the portal as well, Chandra, right? Is that?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. There is something called a speechcraft program that you can do as Toastmaster, as a seasoned Toastmaster. And there is also something called a youth leadership program that you can do. The resources are all there in Toastmasters. So basically, it is like a program that you run within the club or outside the club, or I think even in a campus club. That I'm not very sure of if it is in a campus club, but I can check that for you and come back. I
Yeah,
would
sure. That was my question. Like more of my question was, is it like something like which we need to conduct as a club, or like say as a member like who are aspiring for a
as a
DTM, we need
member,
to conduct.
as a member that who is aspiring for a DTM.
Right. So individual level, like we need to do this one.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
okay. That was my doubt as well. Like say
Yeah.
whether we need to be conducting it only within the club, like, or
No, no.
I think like in the other campuses also is what I remember. So
Yeah, it another in campuses as well. Overall, it is for you to achieve a DTM, right, Chandra? So it is all individual contribution, but of course, a little more than beyond what a club member does. And by now, you would have achieved, levels where you already have the expertise, so you can run it individually as well.
okay. Yeah, sure. And we have the resources about the club
Everything
sponsor
is.
as well, is it? Like say maybe
Yeah,
I'll check it
yes,
out. Like
yes. Club sponsor is also available where you act as a sponsor for that particular club. You conduct a speechcraft program, speechcraft material, how you go about it, and a youth leadership program is all there under your leadership resources.
okay, yeah, sure. I'll check out. Thank you.
Cool. Let me see what is the poll result. And I think I shared. Okay, I can see it now. All right, so I see everybody answered. Good job. The first one, everybody got it right. How many learning paths? So they are 11. How can you choose a pathway? Yes, through an online assessment, but both A and B is the correct option because you also get to choose by yourself. After you do a online assessment, you get 3 choices and you feel that the first choice is too critical for you to start off with, and you felt that something else, you want to start off with something else, then you can definitely choose on your own. What competencies are achieved through pathways? A little tricky over here. I think I got mixed responses, but I will give it to this response 2 where all the options are given over there. There are 5 major competencies: public speaking, interpersonal personal skills, leadership, confidence, strategy, and confidence. That's great. So we are all paying very good attention, I see. Now let me pause over here for a minute and ask you questions. What do you think could be a major roadblock? And even guests can ask these questions. What do you think could be a major roadblock for members to get started with pathways?
Block is like an obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, what could stop people from I was continuously reiterating that, right? Start with your pathways. Why wouldn't anybody want to start after they have enrolled to Toastmasters? What could stop them?
Maybe lack
The
of
time
motivation.
time and preparation.
Time and preparation. Okay.
Lack of motivation.
Lack of motivation. Okay.
No, deciding the pathway is one thing. Like I believe they are not clear, and once they identify, that will drive, say, to completing the project. So that is one thing which I can think of, and also the topic selection is one more thing. Once we opted for the pathways,
Yes.
that is the other one.
Very commonly, I mentor a lot of prodigies, so I get asked these questions that, why should I have a formal learning channel? When something is, I always believe that when something is free, right, you'll not have passion for it. Like when you buy gym equipment, keep it at home, they end up becoming clothesline. But the same equipment, when it is in a gym and you pay about 15K every month, or every once in 6 months, even after you hate that equipment, you'll end up being on it for that time duration because you're paying for it, right? But unfortunately, despite paying for Toastmasters, there are people who do not start on their pathways, although they're paying for it. So I think what you have mentioned is right. One is lack of motivation. But what we have to understand is that there is a huge role the VP education has to play in a club in order to motivate the members over here. It is true that in all the enthusiasm that they see around, they will want to enroll for Toastmasters, but they're not motivated enough to start their journey. So in order to do that, the first and foremost thing that we should do when the member starts their journey is to identify a mentor for them. What happens when you identify a mentor for them, all the rest of the obstacles will become obsolete. Why? The moment you connect with a mentor, the mentor's job is to assess where you stand, help you understand what is that will help you eventually, and how you can pave your learning path. So despite doing an online assessment, there could be chances that you're still contemplating if you have made the right choice, but you've already selected it, so there's no way you can go back. So after selecting it, you decide that, oh God, this is too intense for me. What do I do? So always start assigning a mentor, so the mentor can guide the person in picking the right pathway by understanding what are the goals that their member wants to achieve. For example, I am at a juncture where, probably I'm managing large teams, so I feel I'm good with leadership, but I don't know what exactly I want to improve within my space. Now, when I connect with my mentor's questions will help me drive to see what exactly I would want to look at. Maybe I want to be a little more, I want to make my team collaborate more. Now, oh yes, I have a pathway for you in that manner, right? Or I feel everything is nice, but I feel I cannot engage much with people because I have a mixed group in my team where I have Zennials, I have millennials and Gen Zs. So it becomes very difficult for me to engage with them. So I don't know what to do. Then your mentor will be in a position to guide you to the right pathway of which will help you engage or connect with people at a personal and a professional level. So these are some of the instances a mentor can guide the person. So number one, it will give them clarity on which pathways to choose. Number two, it will help them. Now when the mentor will be able to tell them why they should focus on it, and of course give them other choices as well. Number three, your online assessment will also drive you to see what will work for you, so mentor can make them take that assessment. And number four is the moment you know that somebody is there to guide you constantly, there is this confidence that automatically comes, and the sense of responsibility, if you're serious about learning, of course, that you would want to get started with it. So that is one. Apart from that, what members should be told when they are signing up, which is the role of VP membership, is while we would want to achieve members in the club, you should make it very clear to people that this particular program that you're getting into needs to be enabling for themselves and for the club as well. It's not that you're onboarded onto the club, so I'm happy I got a new member, but you're joining this club. This should be your goal and this should be your mission. You're here to learn. So ensure that you invest time in learning and keep it transparent with the members, saying that, these are the number of learning programs you have. You have to pick one learning program and you have to invest time. It's funny, people say we don't have time. All of us have the same 24 hours. And if somebody at a vice president level is able to take out time for 1 hour, I think people who are students, people who are homemakers, people who are professionals, all of us can make time for ourselves. And trust me, you don't have to prepare so much as you think you should be preparing for. If you are actually utilizing the resources on the website that's available in the base camp, you don't have to break your head about how do you go about preparing for it. Yeah, title selection can be a little tricky, of course, but that is where your mentor can guide and help you. These days with online virtual meetings, you get to see a lot of recordings as well. So that will also give you an insight about how do you prepare for your speech. Any other blockers, any other showstoppers you think to start with pathways?
Mamta, one question,
Sure.
maybe not on the bloggers, but
Mhm.
the information or the documents that are available in the Toastmasters, are they free or should we purchase them?
You don't have to purchase anything. Whatever is in your Basecamp as a resource is accessible for you. There are certain what do we call them, the branding material like certificates and stuff, which you want to customize for your club. Those are chargeable, but otherwise whatever is listed as resources within your Basecamp and your pathway is free for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Mamta, I have a question.
sure, Lochan.
Yeah, so I have, as a member, I've chosen a pathway, and not entirely not mine, but yeah, say if I'm not interested in the pathway in the midway, so can a member get a chance to change his pathway? And
you don't get to choose your gym membership, so is the same with Toastmaster pathway. You can't change your pathway. You will have to complete the entire level in order to qualify to complete, because that goes on for a term. There is no time limit. There is nothing like you have to complete within a month or within 2 months. You can take a year. There are people who take more than 2 years to complete one level as well, I have seen. So it all depends on you. So time should not be a constraint over here, because Toastmasters does not say that within 1 month you have to complete level 1. It is not the case. However, in certain corporate companies where they reimburse the Toastmasters fee, they do have the time limit criteria which is set by their internal HR, because otherwise people just enroll and people just you know enroll and they claim for it. But there is a criteria, like in Wipro, where I run a few corporate clubs over here, where we mention that until you complete level 2, it won't get reimbursed for you, or level 1, depending on the term whichever they complete. So corporate clubs have that restriction, and that is defined by internal HR, not by Toastmasters at all. But community clubs do not have any such restrictions. You can take your own sweet time to complete, but complete, that is what we are insisting on. You take 6 months to do one speech, that is still fine. But if you step back and think about it, communication is something like, you oil the wheel. You cannot do one thing now and leave it be. There's a feedback that comes your way, and then you leave it be for a couple of months, and then you come back. You'll end up in the same murky situation as you were in the past, right? But when you start developing on it, for example, you received feedback.
Looks like we lost
Mamta,
you.
your audio is lagging.
Oh, it snapped for a moment there. Okay, so what I was saying is, till where did you hear me?
No, I think
No
you were
restrictions.
explaining in the corporate clubs, they have this criteria.
They
But
have this
just to
criteria.
add on, Mamta, just to add on, Lochan, if we did not start any pathway, then we have a choice to change it. Like example, like say people may enroll it accidentally. You wanted to opt for dynamic leadership, but like say by mistake you opted for presentation mastery. So in that case, if you did not start on the pathway, so we have a choice, like say 2 or 3 weeks. Like I need to check and stand corrected, but we have a choice of modifying that, like say for the first time. But
That is if
again,
you did not
as
start.
Mamta,
Yeah.
correct. As Mamta said, like once we started, we don't have a choice. Like we need to complete that. Then only parallelly we can pick, like by paying extra. That's the only other option.
So the second pathway is for a price.
Yes.
First pathway is free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's for a price. And often we don't like certain pathways because it becomes difficult for us. But that's a whole challenge, right? Why is it becoming difficult for you? Because you're not comfortable in that communication zone, which means you will have to focus and improve on that rather than running away from it, because later it will still help you, whatever skill you're going to learn. So instead of, going back from it, try and complete it, take more help if required, and check on how other people are doing it. Like I've mentioned, nowadays most clubs are hybrid clubs or virtual clubs, so you get to see how others are doing in this particular pathway, what speeches are they delivering, and then you can think through in those levels to get more ideas. Okay, if there are no further questions, let's move on. I'm going to show one quick video for you, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions on that. Okay, share sound, share. Just listen to the conversation. You don't have to really watch it. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions after.
I never saw your future, only its possibilities. You have such a capacity for goodness. Arrogance and fear still keep you from learning the simplest and most significant lesson of all.
Which is?
It's not about you.
You don't know about real loss, because that only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
True courage is about knowing not when to take a life, but when to spare one.
Because some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Either you karate do yes, or karate do no. You karate do gesso, just like grip.
There is a deep magic more powerful than any of us that rules over all of Narnia. It defines right from wrong and governs all our destinies. Yours and mine.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
What?
Any other questions?
Dark and difficult times lie ahead. Soon we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy.
But remember this. You have friends here.
You're not alone.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I didn't realize.
I'd like to take the time to talk to you
second.
about a young man and his experience.
Sorry. So my question for you is, what do you think all the speakers in this video were trying to do?
To mentor.
Mentor, of course, the title gave it away there. Yeah, but what are they doing? How did you, apart from the title that you have seen, what do you think they were doing in all of any dialogue that you could
To
capture?
clear the blockages and show the path.
Okay.
Motivating.
Moderating, that's a nice word. Okay.
Yeah, they're emphasizing some facts like with great power comes the great responsibility.
Yeah, they're emphasizing. Okay. At any given point, did they give a solution?
No, they tend to
You're
think.
saying it's not about it's about greater good, something like
Yes.
that.
I think that's what makes people wise. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just showing the path, but not the solution.
Yes, very nice, very nice. I think you've got the right aspect of what I wanted to talk to you about next is about a very important aspect that we have within Toastmasters, which is mentoring. But before we go to mentoring, a quick glance on Basecamp manager role. I was talking about Basecamp where you get to access your pathway. So there is a Basecamp manager for every club, your VP education, whose job is to verify the level completion, track progress, and also approve speeches which are done outside the club. So you don't have to limit yourself in presenting. So if the VP education is busy, the president also has access to the Basecamp who can complete all of this. So they will know whether you are working on your pathways or not. And this is the resource pathways overview. You can definitely start with this space. some of you have received your logins now. The moment you reset your password, you get to see this pathways overview. That is where you start your assessment. Okay, you can click on begin your journey and it pops up an assessment. All right, the next one we're talking about is mentoring. Now, how is mentoring linked in Toastmasters? Mentoring is a very big thing in Toastmasters. Why? It's a voluntary organization. People started off as somebody who wants to share and ensure that everybody develops in this skill of communication. So it primarily depends on how we are sharing our knowledge with each other, and it benefits. It's a two-way benefit. It's a win-win situation. The mentor benefits, the protege also benefits through this mentoring program. So what does the term mentor stand for? Somebody said, right? That is what makes them wise. The knowledge or the experience that they carry is what they will share. There's a difference between the word mentor and coach. We have already seen coaching. Coaching is where you constantly drive, like, like a football coach, where they are in the game, they're in the skin of the game, and they know what doesn't work, and they help you through it. They strategize, they give you techniques of what you can apply in case you're still not getting it. But a mentor will not do that. A mentor takes personal interest in helping a mentee or a protege in developing to the skill set or the goals that they want to set for yourself. So at Toastmasters, how does mentoring work? So for every speech, should I reach out to my mentor? Should I just ask my mentor questions related to my own speech? Or should I just limit my interaction with my mentor to only Toastmasters? That entirely depends on the relationship you plan to build. But before that, let me tell you what a mentor qualities are within Toastmasters. Any member who's completed level 2 will be eligible for becoming a mentor. Some of the things a mentor should have is should always ensure that there is a recurring session that you schedule with your mentee. So depending on your time availability and their time availability, do you want to schedule a 15-minute session every week? Do you want to meet for 30 minutes once in 2 weeks? Do you want to meet for an hour? Do you want to meet for a cup of coffee outside and have an interaction? That's a choice that you and your mentee will have to make in order to spend that time. But first thing, as a mentor, you should understand that only when you have the time to spend, please get into this mentoring role. Be patient. Not everybody will be able to tell you the way they should be telling you, or sometimes you will notice that despite telling the feedback multiple times, they might be making the same mistake, because communication cannot be written in stone. It's not a formula where you say that x plus y is equal to so and so. It cannot be learned that way, so it will take some time. Sometimes what I have noticed as a mentor is it's me who is reaching out to the mentee all the time. The mentee doesn't take the time to even connect with me. I have to ask for time, saying that, hey, I'm available during this slot if you want to connect. And the person agrees and never calls or never pings. And then I follow up and say that, hey, do you want to connect some other day, some other time? And they're like, I'm busy. And I'm like, all of us are busy, but you are here for a reason, so you should be taking the time out. So as a mentor, you have the decision to make. If you don't want to continue mentoring somebody because they're being disrespectful of your time, you can make that choice as well. You can communicate to the VP at education of that particular mentees club and inform them that since the person is not able to take the time out, I don't want to continue being a mentor. They can choose to assign them to some other mentor. If you're passionate about helping somebody else, and if things like these happen, I would suggest that after 3 attempts, you move on and take on somebody. There are a lot of people who are eager to learn, and you would want to invest your time in a more purposeful manner. So I would suggest that you move on. Be sensitive. Sometimes it's very important that you act with diplomacy. You should understand that communication skills is not an easy game for everybody. They could come from a background where for them to sign up in Toastmasters itself could be one of the biggest things, right? So be respectful of that, respect the choice that they have made, and ensure that you give them that additional attention. And if you think that your time does not permit you to give additional attention, you suggest them to take on another mentor along with you so that they can be of help. Be flexible. When we say flexible, it's not just always about the time, right? It's also about the way you plan for their speeches. You know, I have seen a lot of changes that are happening with mentors, where mentees come and say, my past mentor was very strict about the way it is structured, which is good if your speech has to be in a structured manner. But if the structure is according to your own personal will, that's not something that the mentee should abide with, right? There are certain, you have a structure that's defined on Toastmasters, a plan for your speech. As long as they're adhering to that, that is more than enough. So be a little flexible, don't be too rigid, because rigid might not work with every age group or with every cultural inclination as well. So sometimes you'll have to step back and see whether they are meeting the objectives of that particular level, and whether they are adhering to the basics that they have to adhere, and be a little flexible about it, because understand that this is learning at the end of the day. It's a very thin line. You motivate them to proceed, or you can pull them back and say that, this is not for me. Being supportive, of course, needless to say, as a mentor, you will only support. Don't write out the speech for the person and give it to them. I have seen mentors doing that as well. Please do not do that, especially during contest seasons. I have seen mentors giving out speeches asking mentees to follow the script as is. You're not helping them in any manner by doing that, because they might copy the speech now, but they could be in a situation where they have to think through on their own and respond, and you can't be available during that time. Be knowledgeable. Of course, this is a very huge term, knowledgeable. Here it does not mean that if the person is young they cannot be a mentor. Mentor can be anybody who has a gamut of view of how Toastmasters works. I have seen a lot of young people who are so passionate about Toastmasters, who are so passionate about what they have learned, and they would want to impart the knowledge to others, which is very good as well. So as a mentee, you should respect the choice that is given to you, because at Toastmasters it does not obstruct you from becoming a mentor. As long as you complete level 2, you are eligible. So if you are not comfortable, of course, you can ask for a change at any given point in time. If your mentor is also not meeting the qualities that you aspire to have, you can definitely ask for a change. For example, when I say not meeting qualities, you're assigned a mentor who is highly knowledgeable, whereas the pathway you have chosen is much more engaging. It is much more something that you have enough knowledge about, and you just want some guidance on it, but not completely through it. But you have noticed that your mentor is giving you way too much information, which is obstructing you to think beyond a certain point, and you feel uncomfortable about that entire situation. Approach your VP education and say, I want a change in my mentor. They will communicate in a manner that they should be communicating to the mentor, and they will change the person for you. But that should not stop you from approaching the person to change a mentor just because you are not liking it. You will not like mentors for sure, because they will be critical. They will be critical when you will not like certain things. I have seen one of my mentee got very angry with me one day, and she stopped talking to me for over a month. I thought she was on a break, but then when I approached her, I asked her, what happened? You are not messaging these days, not calling. She's like, I'm very angry on you. I said, okay, let's talk then. If you're angry, how will I know that you're angry on me? You should vent it out on me. Only then I will know that you're angry with me. So I called her up. I said, what happened? In my speech, I have used this sentence, and you never said it was wrong. I said, in that speech, it was not wrong, and it is something that you are sharing about your view. No, but my evaluator said that I shouldn't be using that sentence. So I said, let's ponder on it. Let's see how you have used it. Then I asked for the recording. I listened to it, and she used a certain word that could be that is against our Toastmasters rules and regulations. So I said, of course, you did add another word to this sentence, which you did not give it to me when you were preparing for your speech. And this is why the evaluator highlighted it. And she's like, oh, and I thought you did not point it out. I said, that is okay. If you did not realize it, that's when you come back. And if you are still contemplating, share the recording with your mentors to understand where the gaps are. But trust me, not every mentor will spend that kind of time with you, which is also okay. If you are inclined towards learning and you want somebody who can be of guidance, not just limited to your speech, but can help you reach your goals, please approach them. Please approach them and ask them, saying, this is fine, but at my workplace, I have encountered this situation. I'm not seeing how this pathway is going to help me handle this. That is where your mentor should be able to guide you. If they are not able to guide you, then it's time that you ask for a change as well. Okay, please don't expect them to give you solutions, because that's not the role of a mentor. The mentor does not have to have all the answers. There are times when suddenly on top of the head somebody gets a question and they ask you, right? You have to validate why they have that question in the first place. Don't rule it out saying this is what the Toastmasters policy says, so you have to abide by it. Some people need convincing as to why it is not the right thing to do. And don't limit yourself to Toastmasters. As a mentor, this entire program itself, this entire Toastmasters journey itself is about sharing and caring. So you should be able to think beyond and help them as well, not financially. Don't keep transferring money or sending gifts to people. That's not the idea, but limited to public speaking and communication and networking. Maybe share your own stories that can help people get motivated on how it has helped you, and they will also be invested in learning how it can help them. Okay. All right. Qualities of mentees. This is very important, and I will reiterate, after mentoring, I think close to 15 people, out of which 5 people I have rejected as a mentor because of certain things that I became uncomfortable with. Always be eager to learn. You're here to learn, so it's not that it is going to be easy for you all the time. You don't expect your mentor to be in goody goody and nice, saying fantastic, fabulous, you've done an excellent job, just because you took out time on your busy day. If I'm taking the time out on my busy day to assess your speech, I would expect that you invested time. I don't expect you to copy paste it from some place and assume that I will not know. There will be people like me who will be very critical in checking whether you have plagiarized the content as well. And I am a editor by default, so that runs in my blood. Second thing is, be receptive. As much as you expect your mentor to be receptive to you, you should also be receptive to your mentor when they give you feedback, whether you like it or not. Feedback is like prasadam, right? Whether you like it or not, you take it. Whether you consume it or not, it's your choice. Don't blindly take the feedback as well. Just because my mentor is giving, they have to be right. No, that is never the right approach at any given point in time. You should assess whether it is matching your skill set or not. Check with 2 other people if they feel the same way. If somebody says your tone is so not matching the way you should be delivering a speech, but you have never seen that feedback coming your way from your evaluator or from your friends or from your co-workers ever, but your mentor keeps saying that, so you have to check and ask your peers or ask an evaluator specifically whether this is a point of concern, and validate the feedback as well. Don't blindly accept whatever comes your way. Be open to ideas. Sometimes we might, as mentors, we might tell you that, hey, I think this is a better way of presenting it. You might want to look at it this way. Then take it by the first front of it and see if you can apply it. Respect comes 2 ways. It can't be that when I'm respecting you, you won't respect or be rude or use certain terminologies that could be disrespecting as well. Rules apply anywhere, and even if not part of Toastmasters as well, somebody is taking the time out to help you, be respectful of it. Grateful. You don't have to really call out the mentor at any given point in time. I know there are certain instances where some of my mentees told me that my old mentor always asked me to quote their name. Should we also quote your name? I said, no, I don't, I have enough fans already, so I don't want more visibility. I am good with what I have. But as long as my success will be when you come back and say that, not that I've delivered the speech, but by the end of your pathway, if I see a transition in the way you were to where you are, that is my success as a mentor. Otherwise, not about how many speeches you've delivered, how many times you've taken my name out, and how many times your VP had wrote to me. That is in nowhere a concern for me. Yeah, so be respectful of this relationship so that it becomes a definitive relationship and you benefit from each other's knowledge. Every Toastmaster is eligible to have a mentor assigned. As a mentor, you can also have a mentor. I have a mentor who is an excellent mentor who keeps constantly guiding me, sometimes to the extent of scolding me if I do not come back in time as well. But that's good. That's good, because although he's way too younger than me, the way he talks to me, I'm so impressed with the way our conversations carry on. He's so knowledgeable for that age. So there's a lot I learn. So mentees learn from mentors, mentors also learn from mentees. And that's how this relationship is. So how do I get a mentor assigned? As soon as you start your Toastmasters journey, your VP Education has a responsibility of assigning a mentor. In case they are not assigning, pester them. If you have seen if you have seen somebody and you want that person to be a mentor, you've attended a lot of Toastmasters sessions in a lot of other clubs as well. The mentor doesn't have to be limited to your club. They can be from any club. So you have seen somebody presenting and you really like that person, so then you can suggest it to VP at saying, can you speak to that person if they want to be my mentor? Then the VP Ed will pitch in for you. I'm unhappy with the way my mentor is guiding me. Like I said, ask for a change. Can I ask for mentoring only during contests? Wouldn't serve the purpose, because when I don't know how you are performing normally, I cannot step you up for success. Is it mandatory for me to have a mentor? Mandatory? No, nothing is mandatory in Toastmasters for that matter. But it is definitely a value add for you, because it is something that you'll have a confidant who can constantly help you. How does mentoring help me as a mentor or a protege? Like I have mentioned, there are equal benefits. You get to benefit as a mentee because you're learning from somebody's experience more than just limited knowledge. And you mentor also gets to learn how to manage different mindsets. That is it. Any questions? Questions, thoughts? That's a lot of silence. Either you understood everything or did not understand any of it.
No, it's good, Mamta. Maybe I would like to thank definitely for anyone like who resumed their journey back or like who joined back again as a new member. So for them, they have this visibility. So thank you so much. Like I think the way you explain, I really liked it.
Thanks, Chandra. Thanks so much for that. At any given point, any of you have any questions or still contemplating whether to start my Toastmasters journey, because I have a lot of questions that are unanswered, feel free to reach out to me, or we have Toastmaster Raghav, who has a VP membership, who can guide you with it. So if there are no further questions, I'd like to hand it over to Toastmaster Lochan.
Thank you, Mamta, for the wonderful session.
Okay, that was a wonderful, insightful journey by I hope everybody had a great time, and it was a very great educational session for all the new people in the club. Especially, I can see Narendra, Sagar Mohan, Toastmaster Raghav, new members. They have just completed their icebreaker speech. So this is going to be a leap ahead in your journeys and pathways. And as you progress, that will also be your. This is going to be a start for your pathways as well as your mentorship programs. That's said and done. Actually, I'm going to give the not entire, 99% of the credit to Toastmaster Mamata for taking an amazing session. And yeah, and I'm going to take 1% of the credit for myself and the absent president of our club, Toastmaster Master Shikha. since we had planned out for this session, seeing that there are many people in our club having no idea on what pathway is. And myself as a VP education, I don't even know. I've not even assigned mentorship. So this is going to be a kickstart journey for me as well as new members. Well, if anybody else is interested to speak on anything else regarding this session, now is this time, or I will move on with the session. Any further questions? Yeah,
Maybe let's take questions from our guests if they have any.
Well, seeing the session actually, yeah, I don't mind session being extended when there is an amazing speaker.
All right. In the interest of time, let's proceed then.
Yeah.
Govind
well,
has raised his hand.
Yeah, Govind, I hope your movie is done.
Look at that
Yeah,
grey
yeah.
eyes, huh?
I just want to mention one point that relationship between mentor and mentee should be like fish and water, not fish and fisherman. That's what.
Well, I hope you completed your level 2, Govind,
out
because
of
I'm going to send
Rajnikant's
him
movie.
candidates.
He's out of Rajnikant's movie, so all dialogues will come now.
Yeah.
So yeah, before moving on, I would like to ask the guests present today, Mr. Balu and Sila Sainja and Mr. Selva Kumar, if you can just open your mic and share your thoughts on how this session went on. Mr. Balu, like to share something?
It's very good, and whatever I have a lot of stuff today. Madam explained very well. I have a lot of takeaways on that, and I don't know actually that this many things are available in Toastmasters, and this is the first time I'm seeing. And definitely, I'll choose. I want to start journey to enroll in the Toastmasters. Further to improve all what madam told that pathways and all that. Thank you very much. It's went well, very good, and we continue something. Thank you.
Great. You can stick on, and I hope Toastmaster Raghav reaches you as a.
I have noted down.
Well, yeah, you just stick on, and I hope you get added in our members or the guest group, and yeah, Ms. Shailaja,
Yes.
like to say something?
That's a
Please share
great
your
point.
insight.
I initially thought about only communication and public speaking, and now from this session, I came to know about the insights of benefits about attending this session. That's a great knowledge, and also, I can imagine further like projects and how we can work for the project and how we can take the guidance from the mentors. It's a great platform, I guess, and I'm sure. I can't wait for further enrollment in this Toastmasters. Thank you so much. The whole positive vibes and great guidance. Thank you.
And we have Mr. Selva Kumar. I know you have attended this session. Great. If you're a guest, I would request you to just open your mic and share any parting thoughts if you have regarding this session. I got no answer. But in the interest of time, I'm going to move on and I'm going to close today's session by handing over the virtual stage onto the SCA so that we can close this session. Over to you, Toastmaster. You're on mute.
Bharatwaj, you're still on mute.
Good, you're still on.
Still, you're on mute.
Thank you for each and everyone for coming to our meeting. With this, now I would like to conclude the educational session on pathways.